Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures Podcast. We're back, and we're bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I'm your host, Sean Hayes, and with me is my wonderful co-host, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody!
So we have a bunch of very weird news. A lot of trailers to talk about this week, and some very weird projects.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not really a lot of gaming stuff. We're kind of in the spring lull here, where we are going to talk about E3. So E3 is happening. So everybody's kind of holding off their announcements until then, because they want to have something big to present. So not really a whole lot of stuff happening right this very moment, in the gaming scene. But there's plenty of pop culture stuff going on. So
yeah.
Courtney, do we want to just kick things off?
I want to start this off. Absolutely.
Okay.
So
then we're gonna kick off our quick fire news.
Yes. So, Build-A-Bear is being interesting again. When they are coming out with 2 Animal Crossing plushies, Tom Nook and Isabel. They still haven't told us when they're coming out with them, though. But you can sign up for
just that they're doing a product line.
Yes.
The controversy was it said Animal Crossing, and once again, everybody got their hopes up, thinking that it was going to be like that essentially they were going to have every option for the villagers, and you were going to be able to build your own villager.
Build-A-Bear doesn't do that.
When, or at the very least, they were going to have other NPC options, like maybe Blathers, or Celeste, who's Blathers' sister, and stuff. I could see that, but really, like, I had kind of figured, like, well, you're going to have Tom Nook and Isabel, maybe 1 or 2 others if we're lucky.
Yeah, when How to Train Your Dragon has Toothless and Light Fury, and maybe a couple others, and those are kind of cute and easy to make into plushies. Build-A-Bear isn't always the best with certain things. They're more likely to make outfits for others, and like a line of clothing that's
I think the thought might have been that since they already have templates for bunnies and bears and other animal type folks, that they have that. That said, I don't know. There's not really a lot of very iconic villagers.
Build-A-Bear, I can imagine that they'll also, with these 2 plushes coming out, I can imagine they'll do a larger thing of outfits. Because that's more Build-A-Bear's style sometimes. Like, for example, they did Wizard of Oz like set, and it was outfits and 2 bears. One that was Wizard of Oz, like the Wicked Witch of the West, and the other one who I put in a Tin Man outfit, and he just has the cute little logo of the 80th anniversary and has like emerald in his ears and on his paws.
Yeah.
So like that's much more like what I expect from Build-A-Bear, but because I refuse to grow up.
I will say I'm a little surprised that there isn't a KK Slider one, because he's kind of like in the big 3. Right?
Yeah.
Of nowadays, you have Isabel, you have Tom Nook, and you have KK Slider, and they've kind of been Tom Nook and KK Slider have been in from the beginning.
Yeah.
Isabel was a later addition, but ever since she was introduced, she's been a central figure as well. Whereas like other NPCs have come and gone.
I mean, in Pokemon, and like Build-A-Bear has done some other tie-ins. Like, I'm pretty sure that we've talked about it before.
They did a Pokemon one, right?
Yeah, they've done Pikachu, they've done Eevee, and I think that they did a couple of the Eeveelutions, but most of them they also did just outfits for. So
so it's like, again, once again, they didn't make 150, 800 some number in between of Pokemon, you know?
Yeah, like they did, you know, the super super popular ones. I know it was big when Pikachu and Eevee came out, and they had adorable little cross Pokemon outfits for them. So like you could dress up Pikachu as Eevee and Eevee as Pikachu. But they're much I notice to get more variety, Build-A-Bear likes to do outfits more. Um,
Yeah.
like they had a Stitch and Toothless um crossover thing as well for little outfits.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, they there's always going to be characters that they don't put out, and usually yeah, two, sometimes three from certain
Yeah.
franchises.
Now, I could see, since clothing's also a big thing in Animal Crossing, I could see them doing a whole series of sort of iconic outfits from Animal Crossing
Yes.
for Isabel and Tom Nook. I could see them doing that.
Yeah, that then again that you can put on, you know, your bunny rabbit and it's the same, it's similar enough, you know.
But Courtney, why don't they have the horrific zipper outfit?
No.
Yeah, no, we're gonna move on from that.
No. Just no.
Super Mario Brothers in the news this past week. So a sealed copy of the original Super Mario Brothers game for the Nintendo Entertainment System sold at auction for $660,000, absolutely destroying the previous record for a video game sale, which was held by Super Mario Brothers 3 at around, I want to say it was 150,000. So
wow, yeah, that like blows it out of the water.
So this was like completely sealed, so never opened, never.
Yep.
It was in like a big like plastic box container thing.
Yeah, like those boxes that like other action figure collectible people will put them in. Or like pop.
Actually, it made me think more of like the kind of thing that they put DVDs in at like I don't know, Walmart or Target or whatever, so that you can't take them. It's like one of those. But yeah,
that has the magnet strip kind of, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. So the reason why this particular copy was is so valuable is it had something to do with the particular manufactured set where it was like in between, it was like the fourth run, and it was a very limited run because it was like before Nintendo had put the trademark symbol on stuff. But after they had made a bunch of other changes to the package design kind of a thing. So it was in like this little weird microcosm.
It was in a unique kind of.
Yeah. And so that's why it really jacked up the price. So, but yeah, $660,000 for a copy of Super Mario Brothers. That they're
probably never going to play.
Well, no, because if you open it and it's
you open it and it uses. But imagine having that amount of money just to throw at something that you're eventually going to resell.
I don't know. I don't know. That's like more than 6 of my house. That's how much. That's how much that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Courtney.
So we are getting more Space Jam.
Yeah, so the Space Jam sequel has been in talks for a long time. We actually got a trailer.
We finally have a trailer. It is Space Jam: A New Legacy, and it seems like Space Jam meets Ready Player One.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. You know, why don't we talk about this a little bit in our deep dive? Because it was a lot.
I have Space Jam on DVD in my living room. I do know that much. So I'm intrigued about this.
Yeah. All right. E3 will be fully digital this year. So like they kind of did this thrown together at the last minute thing last year. Full digital presentation this year. So it'll be a little more streamlined
digital
and planned.
Presentation this year.
So they will have so on board confirmed now are Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Ubisoft, Take-Two Interactive, Warner Brothers, and Koch Media. Now, for pretty much all of our listeners in the US, no relation. This is a German. It's a German like publisher.
Oh, okay. So it's not Koch brothers.
No, it's not Koch brothers. Okay.
Okay.
That was my first thought. I was like, oh, that's a little weird. No, totally different.
Okay.
And Konami, which turned some heads, since Konami hasn't done anything in the gaming scene aside from licensing their stuff out for pachinko machines. So it'll be really interesting to see what they're gonna do.
I am interested in this. Yes.
Yeah. Now, a bunch of big players. So Sony, EA, Square-Enix, Sega, Bandai Namco, Tencent, 505, and Activision Blizzard have not indicated that they will be part of this at all. Sony, after the past couple of years, nobody's really surprised. They're probably going to do their own event.
I think
same thing probably with EA and Square. They're probably going to do their own stuff.
When I worked at GameStop, might have been either the last year that Sony did it, or the first year that they didn't do it.
Yeah.
But either way, this comes as no surprise whatsoever to me because, again, Sony video games doesn't play well with others.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Blizzard obviously has BlizzCon, so
yeah, the Blizzard side of Activision Blizzard doesn't do anything.
So that's another one
Activision,
that, like,
the Activision side means like we won't hear anything about which one do they do? They do Call of Duty or Battlefield?
I don't know, one of those.
You should know.
No, I shouldn't know.
I mean, I know they're basically the same game. Don't at me. But it's one or the other.
Yes, it is one or the other, but yeah.
But yeah, no indication as to whether they'll be participating. I think that's fine. I mean, really, I'm most interested to see Nintendo, obviously. Interested to see what Capcom's got. My guess is that they'll make a formal announcement of Monster Hunter Rise for PC, since that has been sort of confirmed in like Japanese streams, where they've talked about it. Like in 2022, like they're gonna take the Switch game and basically like up-res everything and then port it to PC. Yeah, okay. A little. So basically, Nintendo paid like through the nose for console exclusivity rights for a year, and then Konami, I think, is going to be the big one to see just what they are going to do. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Castlevania. I think Metal Gear Solid. I'm trying to think of what else they've done. Are they Bomberman? Was that Capcom?
I think that was Capcom.
Okay.
I think
no, it has to have been Capcom because there was a Bomberman game that came out on the Switch.
Yeah.
So it can't be Konami.
I'm pretty sure that that's Capcom because yes.
I gotta look this up now. Watch. Knowing my luck, it'll be neither. It'll be, like Atlas or somebody. Bomberman is Konami.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I wonder if that was like the last game that they made.
Possibly. I'm not sure. I haven't really seen.
Oh, Silent Hill. That might be another thing.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yay! I'm so thrilled with another horror game.
Watch. It'll be like a Dead by Daylight crossover again, like they did with Pyramid Head.
Ugh. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing. I personally just personally do not enjoy playing those types of games.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would not be able to play.
Like, my anxiety is not under control enough already as it is. Like, like I don't need to be adding more triggers just because for the lulz. Like, I don't usually mind watching, but playing is an entirely different set. But for some reason, I'm totally fine with the BioShock games. Search me. I don't know. You know.
All right. So yeah, that's E3. It's happening
Yeah.
early June. Normal
Yeah.
time
Like,
frame for it.
yes.
So we'll be on the lookout for that. Maybe we'll get some
Yeah.
Metroid Prime news. I doubt it.
So next up, we have a new trailer for Loki, the series. First episode date is to come out June 11th, 2021. So, yay, a little bit of a late birthday present. Happy birthday to me. I get Loki.
Yeah, this looks like it's a mixture of Time Cop, Quantum Leap, and the Thor movies.
It sounds beautiful.
Is Loki works for the Time Police is basically the premise of this series.
I like, we were talking about this earlier this week, and I don't care if this is pre or post redemption arc Loki. Like, I just want more Loki in my life. Like, I've I have always loved Loki, however he has been manifesting. Um and he's just a great character for me. So I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah.
Especially if I, it depends on how I'm still very, very, very cautious with all of these Marvel products, all these Marvel stuff that's coming out. So I will again, probably similar to how I am doing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I am just waiting for it all to come out to make sure that I don't get hurt. um, because WandaVision did me dirty and it still hurts, and I still didn't finish it, and I'm still not going to for a while.
Yeah,
And
there's
I
there's big
understand that these are,
twists.
yeah, and I understand that these are going in different directions and all of
Yeah.
that, but I'm still very hesitant when it comes to things that Marvel is putting out, because WandaVision started off so nice and sweet and fun and funny. And then I said, "Wait, what?" And then it broke me.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I knew going in that it was going
That's
to
the
go off
thing.
the rails.
I didn't. Like, you warned me, and I still did not
Yeah.
I still did not imagine that it would break me as much as it did.
Yeah.
Um
I
and
will
I mean,
say
on top of that, though, like, to be fair, on top of that, my mental health is not in any way, shape, or form in a good place right now.
yeah.
And so I am I am gravitating towards, I want to call it safe media, that whole, watching reruns because you know how it ends. Um,
Yeah.
Instead of taking in new media right now, because
I will say
new media
Falcon and
is
Winter
scary.
Soldier so far has been pretty safe.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've heard
there's
it.
been
It's had the it's
there's
had
a
the
it's got
I've
Bucky, so there's going to be some
yeah,
trauma.
I've heard that it has the expected amounts of trauma.
Yeah.
Like,
Just because you
yeah.
involve Bucky and you have to involve, like, oh, his past and what he did and everything. So
Yeah, but to me, like, that's expected trauma. Like, that's like
hmm
what some of this show was to work through, you know. Um but yeah, I will admit that I am not in a good place right now for ingesting new media that, cuz yes, Marvel is owned by Disney, but I know most of the time in a Disney movie things are going to end okay. Um no matter, the stress of something. I can't guarantee that with Marvel. They've done me dirty many times. They have broken us. They are not afraid to break us.
Well,
And
I
I'm
mean,
just,
my guess is Falcon and Winter Soldier will. just because there hasn't been any indication that it's going to be a multi-season show.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, it's also going to have to move pretty quickly if there's only like 6 episodes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm just I'm not in a place to be able to be doing that right now,
Yeah.
and I'm very much looking forward to it once it has been I'm going to use big air quotes here, deemed safe. um aka you and Joe have both watched it and said, "Okay, you're good." um
For the
yes.
audio listeners, Sean makes mental note for D&D. Make sure to involve Shadow Fae arcs for Courtney specifically to ensure maximum breakage.
Yeah, you're gonna drive me to Springfield then. So when I have my breakdown, I'll make sure
Yeah,
that you're
no,
the one that has to drive me to Springfield.
no. No, that stuff isn't very psychologically taxing. It's
Nah.
almost cartoonishly gloomy.
And I'm okay with that. Yeah. But hey,
Um,
also hashtag knowing yourself and self-care and putting up boundaries.
yes. Yeah.
Like these are I say it in a very joking manner, but like knowing that I am not in a good place right now is half of a step.
Yeah.
And I am
And we talked
doing
about it
yeah, and I
during.
am doing what I can to so, just for any viewers that are or listeners that are worried about me, like I'm doing what I can to be working on this. But finding mental health providers when you work and have professional relationships with one of the biggest mental health providers in your area, so you can't go to them, is a little bit of a challenge. But I have appointments set up, so things are working its way. But definitely this past year has been difficult for everybody. So, and I am no exception. But
And just on the topic of media specifically, is we did talk
mhm.
about during WandaVision on the podcast that like it is okay. Like nobody is ever gonna make you, unless you're that chicken and Robot Chicken, like sit down and like complete a piece of media. Like if at a
Yeah.
certain point you say like this is too much, I can't do it. Like you
Mhm.
can walk away.
Yep.
You can, and this is going to be a sad moment for Courtney. You can take the example of a certain beloved winged assassin rogue and just walk away from the situation.
Yeah,
You do
you
have
can.
that capability.
You can.
Um, so yeah. Uh,
But
on, no,
but yeah, so
I'm
Loki.
not
So
gonna say
I'm
that.
excited.
Anyway,
So yeah, so Loki, I'm excited for people to be able to start watching it for me, and I'm really hoping that it is the fun kind of show that the trailer has kind of made it out to be. So,
I mean, I think it's going to be weird and goofy
mhm.
because that's what Loki is. I don't expect it to be very like we knew. So like Wanda's whole arc throughout the
Is
MCU has just
tragic.
been tragic.
Yes, and
Like
as I
from
said,
her
like before,
introduction.
and as we said, like you had warned me that like WandaVision could get dark. Like you thought that you and Joe both said, "Hey, I think this is how it's going. Uh, if they're starting up this arc, it's gonna get bad."
Yeah.
So like I was warned,
Um.
and I
So
stopped when I did because of that.
Loki's tragic arcs were still just on the weird and not like sad side, but just
Yeah.
like classically tragic. Um,
Yes, and I can deal with classic tragedy.
and it's him, being laid low because he's got an ego. So
Yeah.
um, so yeah. All right. last up for quickfire news, MST3K launched new Kickstarter today. It launched today. In order to fund new episodes, their hope is through stretch goals to be able to do another full season. They're going to start with 3 episodes, I think. And to fund the GIZMOPLEX, which is going to be something. It sounds like some kind of website that if they meet further stretch goals, they're going to turn into apps. It sounds like another streaming service, but one that will host live events, and that when a thing comes out, you'll be able to do watch parties. But based on they say a subscription will be more like a season pass, and that you'll get tickets to be able to. So it sounds kind of like this other service we were talking about before. So, except with the we're gonna scan the room and tell how many people are in there.
It's wrong.
And this is what it'll but it'll just be like if you want to do a watch party with friends over the internet, and each user or each user's access point will require a ticket to be able to watch it. And you can grant users day passes and stuff for $1 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very weird. I still don't quite have my head wrapped around it, and I'm not sure. They're doing this mostly so that they don't have to continue trying to get picked up by some network, because Netflix dropped them, and that's why they're not doing this again.
I have an idea of how the GIZMOPLEX, to put it in, it's basically like if you wanted to do a watch party and everybody who watched had to have a Netflix account so that you all could be watching remotely together, but everybody has to have their own account.
So it would be, you don't necessarily, I don't think you would have to have an account, because you can be gifted a ticket.
Okay.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have to have an active subscription, I think. You could be gifted a ticket.
But it's still, but I still see that as and you get access for that thing at that, for that show at that time. Yeah, because the GIZMOPLEX All Access Pass, each month for their first year, the GIZMOPLEX will host at least one live event. Each live event will be like a night at the theater, and we'll have lots of fun surprises, Q&A panel discussions.
And that's nothing new. Like Blizzard's been doing that with Virtual BlizzCon for a while, where it's essentially a pay-per-view event. So that's not a new concept, but it's the having that as part of a streaming service that you pay a season pass for, that also includes tickets for watch party stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little convoluted, I think.
I don't.
And they're doing this because they didn't want to just do another streaming service just for MST3K content.
Yeah.
When honestly, if it's gonna be $3 a month, I'd rather just do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So yeah. So that's live.
I don't know. Yeah,
they are currently halfway to funded.
Yeah, as of right now, their original, their base goal is 2 million.
Yeah.
As of 8:02 p.m. on April 7th, 2021, they are at 1.3 million.
Yeah. So they're about halfway there on their first day.
Yeah, and they have a month to go.
Yeah. Their goal is to get up around 6 million, which is what they did the last time.
Yeah, their stretch goals and stuff are up to 5.5 million, which would be 12 new episodes plus 12 new shorts, and the GIZMOPLEX and the GIZMOPLEX apps, and 12 months of live event.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the way up at their final goal of 5.5 million.
Yep.
And yeah, that's
mm-hmm.
I see that as, if they're already at 1,301,000 in the time it's taken me to say this.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like they'll be able to get that amount.
I think they will. Although I worry that the whole Gizmoplex thing is gonna turn
Be
a lot of the audience
confusing
off
and
because it's weird.
yeah.
Like it's not something as simple as we're gonna take all this money and we're gonna make just the TV shows. Now it's
Yeah,
also
where
like
it's
we're
not
also gonna have
just
this other platform that we're gonna produce.
yeah, it's not that we're just gonna make more episodes because that's quote.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this again with big air quotes. That's easy.
Also of
Um,
note is so they did a breakdown. It was presumably Joel did a breakdown of like how much of your pledge goes to each like bucket. And so apparently
mhm.
like 3% of the pledges are going to go toward the Gizmoplex service.
Mhm.
So yeah, I
Uh,
don't I don't know. But I think we've talked enough about this for it being quick fire news. So
yeah.
why don't we switch over to our deep dive where we want to jam. Courtney, this is a mess. This is a mess. It is so it's starring LeBron James.
Yeah, I had heard about it starring LeBron way back, like a while back
Which
when they were starting thinking about
the
it.
acting, his acting, at least in the trailer, is
Leave
about what we
something to be
expected, which is
desired.
not great. Uh the villain is Don Cheadle, which it's really hard. So like anybody that has such a big role in Marvel stuff now, it's hard for me to see them in other
Yeah, non-Marvel
non-Marvel
things.
stuff. As so he's essentially like the overlord of server world basically in the virtual realm. Um and so it's basically like it's now it's sort of got a Ready Player One vibe and sort of like a Jumanji sort of Captain N the Game Master, where LeBron James and his kid get sucked into the video world, the video realm. And
Yeah.
LeBron has to put together a team to fight to play a game of basketball against the server master in order to get his kid back. It's also Hook, basically. It's what
I was
we're
gonna
seeing
say
is a basketball version of Hook.
I'm like, it sounds like Hook, Jumanji, and Ready Player One, like all mixed
Yeah.
together.
But so here's the Ready Player One aspect as well. It's not just Looney Tunes, it's like Warner Brothers is basically deciding to throw in cameos of like all of its other properties. So like the Iron Giant, King Kong, I'm trying to think of
That
the
that's
Flintstones. The Flintstones show up.
I
It's a
okay,
mess.
okay, all right. Um, I can't see it, but sure, it'll exist. Um, like, is Marvin the Martian in the trailer? Is one question that I have because
I don't I
I
couldn't
barely
recall.
have time to do anything.
He might
Okay,
be.
but I don't know. I just we've all wanted a Space Jam, more Space Jam, let's say, not necessarily a sequel. And I don't know if this is. I guess it's really gonna determine like what the world looks like when this movie comes out. Because would I definitely want to go to no, like here's the question now is would I want to go to a theater to watch this movie? Probably not because it's it seems like the kind of movie that I would want to talk and joke through. like they do something completely silly and it's like, oh, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
like the commentary, like the MST3K
Oh,
stuff,
also, Courtney, it's 3D animation.
Oh, no, 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 no.
So it's not like the original Space Jam where it was
Oh.
largely 2D, but like high-res 2D where they had a little bit of depth to them. No. Oh no, these are 3D renders of the Looney Tunes.
My eyes can't do that.
Which
As
is
much as
weird because in the trailer we see there's a segment where it's LeBron gets, like, for lack of a better term, like toonified.
Yeah.
And he becomes like a 2D Looney Tunes character doing all Looney Tunes stuff. And it's like, I mean, this would have been great.
See,
like, to just have it be like a 2D Looney Tunes cartoon type thing. And do like a Wizard of Oz element, right? Which was kind of the whole point of the original.
Yeah.
But like they didn't opt to do, the Roger Rabbit type tech again.
Yeah.
So
I wear glasses in my daily life.
Yeah.
Like, I am nearsighted, so I don't usually have my glasses on for a podcast, but I wear glasses in my daily life. Glasses in 3D movies are very difficult.
No, not 3D effects, Courtney.
Okay.
What I mean is the character models are 3D.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, so you're not getting like reaching out of the, at least I assume, you're not getting like LeBron reaching out of the screen to dunk over your head or something. No. You're getting like the Sonic the Hedgehog treatment, but for Looney Tunes.
That literally just made me throw
they
up
don't
in my mouth a little bit.
They don't look awful, but it's when especially when they show it after they show the 2D segment, the question becomes, why did you make this choice?
Well, I mean,
and the problem is a lot of the conversation is just around how Lola Bunny's back, so people aren't necessarily thinking about, they're just thinking about Lola.
I think for me, the biggest issue with that 3D style like being used is like we have had Looney Tunes videos, like Movie Tunes movies, and we've already had Space Jam. Like, stick with the original animation style. Like, you're throwing me off, man. Like, this isn't how Looney Tunes have been digested before.
It's also,
let's say,
like, it seems to take nothing from the cosmology, if you will, of the original film. Because the original film was like Toon World was like, this thing that you got to from going through like the center of the earth type place. This is literally inside of a digital simulation.
Yeah.
So then it begs the question of, is this really Toon World? Or is this just a simulation of Toon World inside server world? Which again is just, we already did this with Ready Player One.
Yeah. Also, Marvin is in the trailer, but it's just a little bit jarring to me for the animation style. Knowing that this is a Space Jam movie and going into it, excuse me, and going into it like that, like no, it's too much. It's just too much, and I don't like the 3D animated style. Like, I'm not. Yeah, Joe put it exactly. It feels like a Brendan Fraser movie animation. That makes, like, Back in Action. Like, that's definitely
Kind of.
And then I still just really don't like the animation style. No, that's not how I picture
so this is definitely this will be something that, like, is targeted to kids, sort of, because you get cameos from cartoons and films that haven't been out for 30 years. Yeah. And I don't know if the references are going to be enough.
Getting Yogi Bear in there,
Yeah. So, and the references are geared toward adults. I don't know if the references are going to be enough to keep the adults from wanting to defenestrate themselves. Yes, as Josh points out in the chat, literally Clockwork Orange cameo. Yeah.
I will say this though, like this is the thing that I'm actually glad will be on HBO Max as well. For 31 days from its release.
That is true. It will be out, like, if you have an HBO Max account, like, you'll be able to watch it for free. So,
well, I mean, it's for the same. It's included in your HBO Max subscription cost, similar to how they've been doing it for like the new Wonder Woman movie that came out, and there was something else before that.
No, what I mean is you're not paying anything extra.
Yes, it's not like
unlike
a Disney Plus.
Other companies.
Yeah, it's not like Disney Plus or anything.
Yeah.
But like that's something that I could definitely see myself watching, at home. Okay, at your house.
We're not watching it at my house. No. No. I'm not watching this.
No, there's better. It's
the baby had a doctor's appointment today and they said no TV, screens, or computers as much as you can. So there is no reason that this would need to be watched at my house.
Yeah, no, I just, it's one of those movies that if Blockbuster was still a thing, like I would just wait for it to come out at Blockbuster.
And pay the rental fee for it? Ugh. Ugh.
It's better than the ticket price.
Yeah, but what I mean is you just wait until, I don't know. You just wait to watch it for free.
Yeah, I was gonna say nowadays it's just you just wait to watch it for free on whatever streaming service it gets picked up on.
It's okay, dude. Everyone rented trash movies back in the day. That's because you didn't have subscription services for watching, unlimited numbers of movies.
As I said, if this was still
unless
in
Blockbuster
the day
did,
of,
I don't know. We didn't have a Blockbuster in Lee. We just had Lee Video, and so they didn't have a membership service to do anything like that.
You could earn free movies from certain videos. Like I have like a Hollywood Video in Augusta. I mean, I didn't actually have a video rental service in the small town that I grew up in. So, we'd have to go into town, 45 minutes away. So which is why like when Redbox and Netflix became a thing, even back when it was DVDs that got sent to you in the mail for Netflix, that just changed so many things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For media ingestion. But if this were still in the day of Blockbuster and that much, if we'd been given a Space Jam sequel pretty shortly after it originally came out, I would just wait for it to go to Blockbuster.
I would okay. So to keep this as a period piece conversation, I would wait to watch it on TV.
Oh, okay.
Is where that I think that would be the equivalent example of, because you're already you're probably already paying for a cable subscription.
Yeah.
And then you essentially get it for free as part of that subscription.
Yeah.
I think that's the best example. The best analogous example to the HBO Max
I would still rent it. Like I would do like a Redbox rental fee of one night. Or something.
I don't know. It's just, and I mean, overall I liked Ready Player One, but Ready Player One was not great. And so, I mean, this is basically a a less good Ready Player One with basketball. Like, I don't know.
I don't. I just know that I will not be able to be ingesting any real types of media. Uh, not only for my mental health but my physical. Just I do not have the time. Um, so
I was
I'm
gonna say
definitely.
your body may violently react to this film.
I,
No, it's not that bad. I'm sure it's gonna appeal to a lot of kids. Um,
yes.
it might appeal to a lot of people who are still really big fans of the original.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, LeBron fans. Like
I'm
you're gonna
sure.
get
Yeah,
the new generation of basketball fans, stuff like
yeah.
that. So like there is.
It does try and pull in, I guess, other NBA players.
Yes, I
Here's the
think
thing.
I saw like.
I haven't followed anything in the NBA like for probably 10 years now.
Mhm.
So I have no idea like who is big these
Mhm.
days. Um so they listed off a bunch of names and I was like, okay, yeah, NBA players, sure. Um
Mhm.
uh but yeah, I don't know. I think part of what made the cuz here's the thing is the original film um I don't necessarily know. I feel like I don't know. It's tough because like Shaq had a weird like he was big when he was with the Magic, and then he kind of like drifted off for a while, and nobody heard anything about him. And then he went to the Lakers, and he like got really big again. But Space Jam was
Yeah.
like kind of in that time period. Um,
Yeah.
so like you had people that weren't really currently big, but had been big like within the past 10 years. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. Um, yeah, I also it's kind of just a like the whole premise of the film is different too. So it's like they're not going to play a basketball game to save Toontown
Yeah.
or Toon World
It's
or whatever. It's they're going to play a simulated game of basketball to save LeBron's kids who don't want to play basketball. So it's like that's I don't know. Ugh.
I just I just see this as more like, yes, I'm glad that it's a sequel instead of a remake. Like, I'm glad that it is a legitimate sequel. But I see that this is continuing the Hollywood trend of we're just going to sequel and reboot and redo all these different things because we have no other ideas.
I mean that's not really a recent trend though. I mean that's been the movie industry from the beginning.
I feel, but
It's the
the
more I find
remake,
out about like movies that we think were originals and were actually no, there were like at least two other iterations of them is like mind blowing.
yeah. I
I
just
mean,
I just
especially
feel
with like
like
gangster films.
I just feel like with a lot of like with the Disney live action remakes that have been coming out recently and things like that, like that there just seems to be more, and that might just be with what I'm seeing and how I'm digesting media.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that's also Disney just like throwing around money for the sake of throwing around money because like they don't need to make those live action films
no, they don't.
because they're still making animated films, and that's like
Mhm.
really where they make their money. Uh,
Oh my goodness, I totally forgot while we were talking about Build-A-Bear. Speaking of Disney animated films, there is new outfits out for Raya and the Last Dragon. There is a Raya outfit that is available, and the dragon is available as an online exclusive plush. So,
okay.
had to put that in there too. Sorry. We were talking about it before stream when we were talking about Build-A-Bear. So,
I see a
But
certain friend of the podcast just logged into Valheim. How dare? How dare?
how dare they? Yeah,
How
I'm
dare?
I'm seeing that too. Hmm.
How dare?
Hmm. Well, to be fair, they uh they got to listen to me rant a little bit earlier, or vent a little.
So anyway, why don't we head on into Questlog? Because I think
Yeah.
we've said enough on Space Jam. I couldn't get it all out. Seriously. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. We try to be positive and we try not to like rank on stuff on the podcast. It looked silly and not in the way that I typically appreciate. So I will admit I am not in the demographic for this film. Um is and I was all in on the original when it came out. Um
Hmm. I
so
think that's a good way to put it.
I
Is
think it's
we're not
just
in. Yeah.
I think ultimately it's trying to be a different film and they decided to like it's almost like they took another film and they were like, well, we don't really have a plot for Space Jam, so we're just going to tack Space Jam elements onto it
Yeah.
and call it a day. That's just kind of what it feels like to me. And that film happens to be a cross between Ready Player One and Hook. So, yeah. So yeah, let's do
Let's.
let's do
Yeah.
quest log, shall we? Questlog is where we talk about what sort of geeky goals we've had over the past week that we've achieved, and what sort of stuff we have on our agenda for the upcoming week that we'll talk about next time.
Yeah.
Courtney, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I would actually like to go first.
Okay.
So I put it as that I have completed my goal, um, because my goal was to read one adventure, in Candlekeep. Um, I read the full intro because this is like actually reading an adventures book is a new experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I've been reading, I've been skipping the stat blocks of stuff because I'll be able to do that um a little bit later. Like that's not, but I read like the full intro, the all of the background around the Candlekeep, um and all of that. And I did get about halfway through the first adventure. Um when they're all leveled and it's very nice.
They are.
Um where it's what, and it's not a range, it is like this level, but you can always scale them up or down, and
Yeah.
it does discuss that in the intro, which I really like. um I have a looking forward to, gonna try and read them in order, um and I'm looking forward to one that I think is going to be the one that I run. um but I'm very much enjoying the lore of it. I'm thinking about, okay, how can I put in the few elements that I know I want to include? Like, how can I put that in? Oh, okay, this is how that would go in. This is where they can, I'm starting to plan the adventure a little bit, which I'm very excited about. So
Yeah.
there are 17 different little adventures. So I imagine for the next 17 weeks, I will be just trying to read one adventure. Things have gotten very busy at work, which is surprisingly when I have the most downtime, because things are usually chill at work.
Yeah.
Um, because the rest of my life is not chill, um, in any way, shape, or form. But I only have 5 more months
That's
of that.
because we're getting into spring and then summer, Courtney. Zero chill during that time. Hey.
Yeah, I have 5 more months of internship. I can do this. I swear.
Yeah.
Uh, I may. Yeah. I'll get through it somehow with a
Yeah.
little help from my friends.
Yep.
So,
All right. I did not.
so yes, Sean.
So I was gonna try and do the Wildlands draft. Did not do it. Between the holiday and then stuff coming up, I didn't get to work on it. I did try and color part of a chapter one comic I was not able to get a regular comic this week. Apologies for that, folks. I have a concept in my head, but we came back from visiting my in-laws later than I had remembered, and so I didn't really have any time to get it done like after the fact, and then it was stuff just caught up with me beforehand when I was planning on trying to get it done. That said, the other reason is I've been doing a lot of campaign prep for when we get back to playing D&D. So for the Tales of Jamora crew, I was telling Courtney, five boss counters is what I have drafted up. One of which is a 3-part boss encounter. And sort of
I'm not terrified at all.
Adapting existing adventures. And here's the thing. I mean, it may be optional. Like, depending on how the adventure plays out, you might not even have to fight that boss. The best part is if you don't fight that boss initially, you may have to fight them later on in more difficult circumstances. So there's that.
Oh goodness.
Enjoy. But yeah, so doing a lot of like D&D DMing crunchy stuff. Retrofitting an existing adventure and fitting it in with current campaign details in the Tales of Jamora setting. And really kind of fleshing stuff out. So yeah. So doing that, that'll basically probably get us through for like the rest of the year. Knowing how quickly we progress through adventures. It's either we go at blazing fast speed or we get bogged down and take 3 sessions to get out of a tavern.
We do all the RP.
Yeah. Is the optimal solution to be a murder hobo? No. That is never the optimal solution. And yet it is sometimes consistently the solution that is selected. Although not really, because you guys basically have that writ that like totally does not apply to anywhere.
That tells us that we can do whatever we want.
But the 7 square miles of island that that it applies to. Yeah, but no, plotting that stuff out and a lot of sort of character goals for all of the characters, and having arcs available for them, and then potentially, depending on how that adventure goes, figuring stuff out for the future and the future of Jamora and how that'll work.
Yeah.
So yeah, very excited about that. Always cool to like make really nifty boss fights that have mechanics. So yeah, that may be a thing where I talk about it after said fight happens and maybe do some like DM workshop streams. Or talk about it during a game stream and just like a gaming DM workshop. So that's what I've been working on. Goals for next week. Obviously coloring chapter 1 comics is going to be there. So want to get that book done. Rapid, like I'm like 1 or 2 away from hitting 50 comics colored. So that is half the book. That is half the comics in the book. It's not half the pages because, so most comics take up a third of a page. Many of the ones in this later, half, right, are half page, full page, and so that ends up actually making my life a lot easier because it's a lot easier to color a full page comic than it is to do, or single panel. And it's much easier to do single panel, full page, or whatever than to do, even a third of a page that's like broken up into different stuff. So yeah. And then I don't know if I'm going to realistically finish the Wildlands draft this week, so I'm not going to put it on there. what we're going to say is I'm gonna draft up all of the bosses that I made into D&D Beyond so that I will be able to access them later on.
Nice.
That's what I'm going to set as my goal. Now, the good news is many of them are already existent in D&D Beyond because they're not custom crafted.
Well, that's good.
That said, the 3-part one is going to have to get put in there as 3 separate monsters. Then I think there's 2 more. So basically I'll have 5 monsters to stat up in there. And it's a little more complicated now because now since you can do the dice rolling, that's all extra code that you have to enter into like monsters short code for abilities and stuff. If you want to be able to have that capability. So it's just a little bit of extra work. But yeah.
Also, Critical Role Munchkin is out in the shop right now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's on its way to my house right now.
I was gonna say, I mean, it's neat, but at the end of the day, it's still Munchkin, and yeah, I have feelings on that. So,
okay.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if this was on the list last week. Sentinels of the Multiverse.
No, we didn't talk about that last week.
Sorry. It happened like much earlier this week, I think, or at the end of last week after the podcast.
I think it was late last week. I don't know. I can't keep my days straight. I can't remember what I did.
Yeah, there's a new Sentinels Kickstarter for a definitive edition where they basically hired a graphic designer who said, "Your cards are terrible." And, the guy who did all the art said, "My art is terrible." And they're just
Your cards
redoing
are
it all.
bad and you should feel bad.
Now, they're also fine-tuning cards, so they're going to like add and subtract stuff from decks and everything and rework like almost everything so that it fits like a more streamlined game. So in the future, that will be something. Also, it's an interesting Kickstarter in that they're not doing any stretch goals. They just said, if it turns out to be a wild success, we're just going to sink all of that money into putting it into the quality of the base game.
Nice.
Yeah, so they're just going to take all of that money and they're just going to throw it at the base game to make it as good as possible. Instead of having to worry about also fulfilling stretch goals. I think that's a smart solution. And I'm interested to see the difference. That may be a thing that maybe gets played.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is going to wrap things up for this week. Thank you all for joining us for this episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. If you would like to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, there are a couple ways you can do that. You can go to 8-bitadventures.com. Over there you can find comics, artwork, podcasts, streams, VODs, all that great stuff. So make sure to put the dash in there. If you would like to help support that content, you can also find that stuff over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Patrons get early access to comics, exclusive access to behind the scenes and playtest content for Tales of Gamora, and a 10% discount on merch.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here, I will put that in the chat. Finally, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. So you can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And always glad to give him a shout out. And again, thank him for letting us use that song.
Yeah.
That is great. I mean, we've been using it for quite some time now. So
been using it, I think, since the beginning.
Well, since day one, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna end things for this week. So, without further ado, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.
Bye, everybody.